He has lost all of the three of yesterday's highly contested by-elections in their one stronghold of Nongoma in northern KwaZulu-Natal. The elections were held after the resignation of three IFP councillors who joined the African National Congress in August. The National Freedom Party clinched two of the wards, with the ANC winning the other one. The successful ANC candidate was one of the former IFP councillors. Now we are joined from Durban by Renee Heine. Good morning, Renee. Just give us a quick insight into what you read into these results.
Good morning, Eben. Yes, as you just mentioned, the NFP was victorious. There has been some changes since the 2011 elections already in this council, but it's always been very highly contested between originally the ANC and the IFP, and then since the birth of the NFP, they've always had a contested by-elections elections in these areas. And yeah, with the results as we've seen now, the NFP victorious as they were in 2011, taking 2 seats, and with the ANC coming in with 1 seat, which is very significant because the IFP has lost now its power in this area. It was always very strong in the rural areas of KwaZulu-Natal, and this has always been a very important seat for them and for the party. They've had all the big guns came out to campaign before this election, which also is a strong indication of how important they feel this area of the province is for them. We've had our colleague, Ayanda Mhlongo, keeping a close eye on the events, and she joins us now on the line. Ayanda, if you could just tell us a little bit about what is the mood in Nongoma at the moment? Supposedly celebrations being planned by the NFP and the ANC.
Well, definitely, Renee, firstly, good morning to you. Yes, indeed, both supporters or members of both parties, the NFP and the ANC, have hardly slept from last night. We left Nongoma at around 2 a.m. This morning, and as soon as those results were out at around 12 o'clock, there was just the celebrations that began thereafter. Of course, today, the leaders from both the parties, the ANC's chairperson in the province, Senzo Mchunu, he is on his way now to Nongoma. They won one of the wards, which was Ward 5, and they'll be going through now to Ward 5, but they have planned a huge convoy in the morning, and then afterwards they're going to then hold a sort of a mini rally where they're then going to meet their supporters and thank them for their votes. Afterwards, the NFP President Zanele Magwaza Msibi, she's also going to come through towards 10 and 11, which are the wards that she won, or her party won, and they'll also have a gathering also in one of those 2 wards. So as you can see, it's celebrations where we are now. We're in the town of Nongoma, just awaiting the party leaders to come through, and already cars are going past them, hooting, they're waving flags, NFP and ANC. So there's the mood, there's really excitement from the 2 parties. And as you said, Renee, it's very important. It is a crucial election for both parties. One for the ANC, putting a foot into Nongoma. It is the first time that the ANC is really not being able to campaign in the area, and they can see now that they do have a support base. Yesterday we were speaking to NEC member ANC member Begikele, and he was saying that he never thought that in his lifetime he would be able to see the ANC going into Nongoma to campaign, and then eventually now to get the results that they have. And also for the NFP, they were just 1 ward away now from taking complete control of Nongoma. So this is of huge significance for the NFP as well.
And then, Ayanda, what does it say for the IFP? Because we know now they've been losing support in many of these municipalities and then in these wards. Obviously, these are very important elections for them.
Yes, it is very important elections for them. And I know, you're speaking about how Nongoma used to be their stronghold. In fact, most of rural areas in the province of KwaZulu-Natal, but particularly areas here in the north. And this is a major blow for the IFP. They were quite confident yesterday, early on in the day, when we were speaking to them, but of course now their results, they'll probably now have to go back and sit down and sort of plan. What Albert Mnyango, one of the leaders of the IFP, was saying yesterday to us was that they were going to use this as a dry run for the elections. So what they're going to have to do now is to go back, put their thoughts together, and to see how they're going to now basically start their campaign for the national elections for the national elections next year. We haven't yet spoken to the IFP, but we will, of course, be trying to get hold of them just to get a comment from them on the results.
Ayanda, just lastly, the area, as we said, has seen some scenes of violence and reports of violence in previous years and previous elections, by-elections. What is your assessment of what's been happening there now? Has it been fairly quiet and controlled? I know there's been a lot of security in the area as well.
Well, indeed, Renee, since the campaigning rally, which was a test on whether or not the situation in Nongoma had somewhat changed around political tolerance, and it has really been quiet. There was only one incident of a poster being defaced, and in the last month, as I said, in the build-up to the by-election, yesterday again, there were no incidents that were reported. Obviously, what the main question I think a lot of people were wary about was the results. There was a huge level of tolerance, but I think the test of their political maturity was going to be at the announcement of the results and whether or not parties or people in Nongoma are able to accept those results. The police, yes, Renee, there were scores of police that have been deployed into the area. We spoke to the MEC for Community Safety here in the province, Mr. Willison Mtuno, and he then said that they're going to keep the police here for the next couple of days just to ensure that the situation remains the same, that things stabilize, and that in the event that there are any tensions, police are there to act. But Renee, it has been quiet. It was a peaceful election yesterday. What we saw was a completely different picture from what happened in the previous elections. Yesterday, for the first time, we saw the parties outside together, although they had their stands, the marquees outside the voting stations, but they were moving from one party to the other. They were singing, they were dancing. It was a completely different picture. You wouldn't really have thought that this is the Nongoma that we know, that these are the parties that at some point could not even stand one another. It was really a complete picture yesterday, and we're hoping that the situation, of course, will remain as peaceful as it has been.
Okay, thank you, Ayanda Mhlongo. That's Ayanda, who's been covering the elections, the by-elections in Nongoma, which was very closely watched by all parties, and where we've seen the NFP taking 2 wards and the ANC for the first time 1 ward, and then losses there for the IFP. And that's over to you, Eben.